When Milt Reimer set out to build more functional snowmobile gear over 20 years ago, it was because at the time he couldn't find any type of gear that worked the way he wanted it to when he was riding. 20 years later, FXR has grown into a multinational company manufacturing and shipping all over the world.
So FXR actually started in concept, not in name, probably in 92 or 93. I'd started racing snowmobiles, and I'm going, none of this gear works. This is all just sort of corporate wear. I might as well be wearing a Freightliner or a Mac tool jacket out there. It has no functions, and during this time from 1980 to 1990 I worked as a mechanic. And just by chance, as I was going shopping for hats from my dealership, I walked in and there was no hats almost on the premise. I ended up talking to a designer and pattern maker inside, and we started just chatting back and forth, and he said, I think we could do a product like this. And so he brought the two owners in, and they said, hey, you know, we would love to try this. By the fall of '96, I think we had our first product we sold in November from a short production run we did. So through that process, we really were able to establish the brand as a racing brand first, and then we used that to develop our trail apparel. And it all started with race sponsorships. And I had a small 14 by 14 office I created in the basement of my house, and I was running the dealership. I hired a manager to run the dealership for me and started just entirely focusing and concentrating my efforts on FXR development. Carla, my wife, was very tolerant of that whole process and could be quite engaged, especially in selling the product as we'd get orders in. And she was very instrumental in helping us through that intensely difficult winter season. We were in our basement 7 years, and then we moved into an office on the yard. And we moved in there with 3 people, and we ended up at 17, 18 people in there, and then it's only 4 years ago now that we moved into our location where we currently are here in Oak Bluff.
But those are just the humble beginnings of a much larger story. As Milt grew the FXR brand, sales increased, and it quickly became clear much greater manufacturing capabilities were needed.
The dollar had really risen dramatically, and we needed to go to Asia. My partner in Asia is Brian Kim, and he was so instrumental in the next phase of our growth. Because FXR was so complex, none of the agencies wanted to work with us because our product line was so wide. They wanted us to build one women's jacket, one men's jacket, and pants to match, and then build 50,000 of those in each. So we were trying to build a product line that really could hit all of those niche areas of riding and then follow the good trends and build that up. And we needed our own agency to be able to do that. So Brian then has been running our operation there, I think, since '08, and we have established an incredible facility in Asia. Seoul, Korea is where our head office is. Everything is designed here, right in our office here, and with our team. And then our spec department handles all the specifications and the details to make sure that our Asian office understands what we want. We're producing product in 11 different countries and 45 different factories to make this happen. Our logistics department is just phenomenal, shipping over 400 containers around the world. As we hit 20 years, we're really seeing the people that run those departments. They're doing such a phenomenal job. Our dealer network is doing a phenomenal job, and we just were going like, man, we have to celebrate this.
To commemorate the 20th anniversary of FXR, Milt decided to host a party for all of his dealers and industry partners. It was piggybacked on his annual dealer show in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The culmination of the event was a rooftop party in downtown Winnipeg. An outdoor display showcased a number of Milt's snowmobile projects, and a full-on 2017 FXR fashion show highlighted the evening. I'm very proud to say that all of us here at SnowTrax have worked with Milt and FXR since the very beginning. We have seen him grow his company in almost unbelievable ways, but the truth is, the heart and soul of FXR remains exactly the same as it was 20 years ago, and we think this has played a huge role in the company's success. Milt's got a whole fleet of sleds that he's been tinkering with over the past couple seasons. He's got at least one sled from each manufacturer that he's been developing wide front end kits for. Milt sees that there's sort of a gap in the handling characteristics of snowmobiling these days. He sees that they're not doing what he would like them to do for the way he rides, so he's trying to work that out in his own way with these trick aftermarket kits. He's been working with other companies and partners in the project, and they look super cool, but I think the proof will really be in the ride.
So there's a lot of things that we're evolving, and through all of that, you end up sort of back to where we started 20 years ago when I was actually racing and thinking that I wanted to make performance parts. And so that part of the fun and the passion of building and riding a sled is really the core fun I think that a lot of us have. Through the course of the last few years now, we've partnered with some of the premium aftermarket companies and started building some project sleds. And every brand is represented. And we build these sleds kind of right now with the root experience of trail riding and performance trail. FXR has trademarked the name Factory Ride. And right now our sleds are built with under that name. They're Factory Ride and 121s or 129s. We're really focusing on the short track sleds. And because what I like, and everybody who's racing cross country, you don't want the front end to push when you're coming out of the corner under full throttle. It's all about that type of user experience. We've been engineering a few specific changes into the sleds and working with skins. They've developed wider front ends for us from 45 to we have a Skidoo with a 49-inch front end, lowering the center of gravity, making the A-arm structure and the front structure stronger to be more stable in turns, increasing sway bar strength, and where people are a lot of the time are disconnecting sway bars, we're going and making them stiffer again like they used to be.
Milt really wants an honest opinion of these sled kits that he's developing. He wants to know how they work for the average rider, where average riders ride. So the first place I wanted to go was to a trail. It was beautiful. The trails were a lot like what I ride at home. They were wide, some tight sections with really tight twists. There was some long sweeping corners, some really fast straightaways. It was a great spot to ride. My first impression of the sleds riding here was that the wide front end has got merit, and obviously wider is better and will make a sled handle more stable. But I think that the ski choices for each sled are maybe too aggressive for this location, and probably the first thing I suggested to Milt to do was cut back on the aggressiveness of the ski, maybe try going back to stock skis versus CNAs and see how that feels. That might lighten up the front end and make them easier to steer, and then you'd really be able to appreciate the width, the extra width that they offer. We really wanted to get a well-rounded impression of Milt's new sleds and the changes that he's made on the front end of these sleds. So we felt we needed to take them to just more than one location or ride them in more than one scenario. And we headed out onto a section of trail that really offered everything from trails to a river section. We managed to find some deep snow out on a lake somewhere, and we found a ditch section we could do some playing in. And it really offered a little bit of everything that would let us know in general, how do these sleds work? And they worked really good here. The wide front end definitely worked, hitting jumps. It made the sled very stable, and it gave me just another little glimpse into what these sleds would be like in the real world.
And all I know is I'm having a lot of fun, and I know that other people, as they ride them and look at the sleds, they can see the passion. It doesn't matter how fast you're going. You know, if you're out there and enjoying it, that's the key. And life's way too short not to have fun. Life's way too short to live in black and white.
If you enjoyed the video that you just watched, like it and then subscribe to our page for more great content from SnowTrax TV.